Will I be able to see who are
Okay,
online?
good day, everyone. This is Rita Choi, founder of Asia HRM. Asia HRM is an human resources community focusing on coaching and leadership. We help organizations build high performing teams. We also have a coaching platform called Coaching Engage Plus, connecting qualified coaches with their potential clients. Our vision is to make coaching affordable and accessible to every one of us. We believe that everyone deserves to be coached. Today is our last session of this month of our HR Leader series on tackling top challenges. The topic is about change management. Same as leadership. Do you know who is the most challenging person to be led? Is ourselves. Same as change management, we need to know to ourselves in order for us to adapt to changes. Our speaker for today is Audrey Ow, who is the head of, let me take a look at her title, quite a long one. Audrey Ow, head ecosystem, adult learning, Collaboratory Institute for Adult Learning Singapore. Before she worked for this organization, she has worked in transformation offices of different government bodies in Singapore. She also called herself as change integration partner. So before I introduce all of you to her, I would love all of you to say hello to each of us, and we will say hello back to you. So without further ado, I would love to give the control to Audrey so that Audrey can go through with us her deck. Then after that, we have the Q&A session. Audrey.
Hello, Rita. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Rita, for this opportunity for me to share through Asia HRM. It has been a blessing and a very privileged position for me to do so. And Merry Christmas Eve to everyone. Yeah, if you are celebrating, I think in this period of Advent, it is a great time. It is a great opportunity and very timely that I could do some sharing based on my personal experiences. Yeah, and also for you to give me your time and also your sharing through your own experiences, because this HR community in Asia, it is, even though I'm very new to this, I would say it's a very precious and increasingly precious platform and community to be in, yeah, especially in this age of AI and digitalization. Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. Yeah, and so without further ado, let me first introduce myself, where I am right now. I'm currently the head of ecosystem of the Adult Learning Collaboratory in the Institute for Adult Learning in Singapore. So this is a very meaningful place that I am at. Yeah, so I'm just putting down this slide to share a little bit more about what I currently do as part of my full-time employment. Yeah, so the mission of the Adult Learning Co-Laboratory, it's actually because we are part of the research division in Institute for Adult Learning. So what we do is actually based on research and very robust research that has been done. So we are research informed, and what we do, it's very practical in the sense that it is use driven, and we work very closely with the ecosystem stakeholders. So we don't do it for the ecosystem stakeholders, but we do it with the ecosystem stakeholders. So that is really the collaboration bit of the co-laboratory. And last but not least, we do so through collective and innovative ways, such as experimentation and testing in real life testing, as opposed to a very hygienic environment where it might not be as practical. Yeah, because where learning really happens, as many of us in the HR community or OD community may know, it happens on the job, it happens in reality. Yeah, so that's a little bit of what I do, or what Adult Learning Co-Laboratory does in IAL. Yeah, that said, what I am doing today, I'm actually sharing in my personal capacity as a change management practitioner. Yeah, and this session is actually meant to be beneficial to friends who are either in transition, or who are moving to or are currently at a supervisory or a middle manager position. So I think you would benefit a lot from it. Yeah, as well as to if you are a senior management member, yeah, if you work very closely with middle managers, I believe this will also help to provide maybe a different perspective, yeah, on the kind of realities that middle managers may be going through, maybe feeling, and the struggles that we are currently feeling. I'm not so sure. Yeah, it's I would say it's unique to each individual because all our circumstances are very different. Yeah. But in any case, I hope that today I would be able to provide these key takeaways. So first of all, it's how do we deal with ourselves better? And really, this is a platform of exchange. So at any one time, if you do have any comments, any thoughts that just pop up, please just feel free to just pop into the chat and to build on this community sharing together. Yeah, so dealing with the self, recognizing why we first need to deal with our own personal change experience in order to handle the kind of change work that we do as a change management practitioner. Secondly, treating humans not as a resource, yeah, but as a human. And how do we do that? Last but not least, the path to toning this change muscle, and we could do so through exchanging our tips on some of the observable behaviors when going through these challenging times of change. And I believe that together with all these richness in our wisdom, our knowledge, our experiences, we will be able to support each other more closely as change management practitioners ourselves. So I understand that Asia HRM actually conducted a survey across the community to find out, what are some of the challenges that the HR community is experiencing, it's feeling, yeah, for the coming year. Yeah, so there are so many things, right? With the advent of AI and the acceleration of it in terms of AI adoption, how does this change our work behaviors? How does it change our maybe level of anxieties or how we bring ourselves to work, how we interact with people, talent acquisition and retention, having limited resources to maximize value within the organization. I think these are evergreen issues that the HR community experience. Multi-generational workforce dynamics, that is something which is increasingly important as we experience more and more of fresher workforce colleagues coming into the workplace. Our definitions of work could now be very different, as I have personally evolved in my own definition of work as well, and how I share my own definitions with my own community, and change management being a growing concern. Yeah, whether it's change management for companies, change management for ourselves, change management for our teams, etc. Yeah, and last but not least, the parts about skills gaps, about leadership training, succession planning, talent development. These are evergreen issues that I think the community tries our best to tackle each time. Yeah, and also the need to ensure an employee well-being, prioritizing mental wellness, support, work-life balance, etc. Especially in these days, where the demands of the modern workforce as well as the technical affordances are able to provide, that would have modified the need for us to take a step back to ensure our own well-being, our colleagues' well-being are being well taken care of. Yeah, but today, the focus is on change management. So yeah, so I think this is a picture that has stuck with me for a very long time since the first time I saw it decades ago. Yeah, so I'm wondering how many of you actually have seen this picture before. So it's a common observation when we mention change. So who wants change? Everyone puts up their hands. Yeah, but who wants to change? Usually, yeah, not many people would actually put up their hand and volunteer for it. Yeah, maybe I would say that today, yeah, so there are different approaches for different levels of change in the whole ecosystem. It's in our individual, ourselves, at enterprise or teams level, and then at the larger systemic level. Yeah, so today I would say that the focus of my sharing, it's more within the individual level as well as the team level, and henceforth how we interact to bring our ability to create, to spark that change to the systems level. Yeah. So I'm putting this pyramid here because this is a reflection of my own personal thinking when I first entered the workforce more than 20 years ago. Yeah, I know, some people may think that I'm still very young. Yeah, but maybe because we haven't met in person. But yeah, and I probably have a very good hairstylist as well. But in any case, jokes aside, yeah, so this has been a very conventional model of thinking for myself, and maybe for many of my peers, or maybe many of us growing up. How do we pursue, how do we move up the corporate ladder? Yeah, moving from a more junior position, and perhaps some of us, and there is nothing wrong with this, would want to still pursue being moving to the top, where we can make more systemic level decisions, and that is very important indeed. Yeah, but for myself, where I am, or where I have been, it's largely from rising from being a very junior staff to somewhere in the middle. Yeah, and I had, actually, I would say, quite a number of challenges in the past, resolving about being in the middle. Yeah, in the sense that, wow, so this is what I might have wanted to pursue, going up the corporate ladder. Yeah, but eventually, when I observe more of the kinds of behaviors, the kinds of struggles, I would say, that many leaders at different ends of the spectrum, at different tiers of the hierarchies, go through, I ask myself, also, if this is something which I personally want to pursue. Yeah. So I actually have a slide here. Yes. So in the past, I used to think that, I want to go up to the top a bit more. But I realized over some time that, hey, actually being in the middle, it's not that bad a purpose. And in fact, it could be more purposeful. So over time, I've actually identified myself to be a middle manager. And guess what? A paradigm shift for me. So the paradigm shift in this case is that, wow, actually I am the patty in the burger. Yeah, as opposed to I'm just a middle manager, as maybe many people who are very driven, maybe thinking. Yeah, so being the patty in the burger, if you realize, that's what we usually go for, right? Yeah, it's where the meat is, and where that 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 important ingredient that will actually make the burger the most delicious part of the whole meal. So the reason why I have this with me now, because this is an image that made me realize how important the people in the middle are, because the people in the middle are the ones who are making or breaking the deliverables that the organization has to produce, as well as making that important change that the organization is seeks support in transition of. So just in case you think that I'm going into like one of the a typical change management presentation, where this Kubler-Ross change management model, which I've adapted from ProSci, which I am actually certified in, to run through. Yeah, so this is actually one of the change management models that, for all the models, there are so many models out there. For all the models that we may not necessarily believe in, yeah, I personally believe that this Kubler-Ross change management model is something that is helpful, important for myself as I stepped into this whole process of change management, and helping organizations and helping individuals in this journey of change. So I would say that my just taking a step back and doing a little bit more of an introduction of myself again. So I started off in project management, actually, in IT project management, where I was one of the many team members of a very large IT project. And over time, I transited into the organization development space, the change management space. And that was when I saw a very big shift in my own mental model, in my own paradigm. And I realized how important change management is when it comes to supporting the business of organizations. So this is one model which I was introduced to when I first started being in the space of change management, where I led a small change management unit, small but important change management unit in one of my previous organizations. So, and personally, in transition right now, being 4 months into my current role, I would say that this Kubler-Ross change management model, it is still something that is very valid. And I wish that more people could understand these theories, these frameworks before they step into the change, in order to help them and to support themselves in going through the change themselves. Yeah, but the good news is that even though we encounter the realities of change, as I have drawn in this doodle on the right hand side, this is the realities that we face versus how we were conditioned to think in a very linear mode. I would say that the models and the theories, frameworks that we have access to, they have been so helpful for myself in understanding that, hey, this is normal, and I'm not the only one going through this. I'm not the only one who have gone through this as well. So, and the good thing is, if I am able to tide through this, then it will actually, I wouldn't use the term acceptance, but more like that's where we can flourish, and that's where we can develop and grow to our potential, and in turn help the rest of the people whom, whether it's organizations or whether you are a coach, your client, etc., your mentees, etc., at all, to help them grow and to help them tide through this challenging time of change in their own change journey. Yes, absolutely. That life management has to be first, then anything else starting. And only with communication, competition, and change multitasking habits. Yes, I would love to hear more from the rest of you. But if yeah, and we will have some time later, just a little bit of time. Yeah, and the reason why I have this particular slide here, it's this is something which I personally subscribe to, being a design thinking practitioner myself. So I realized that in change management, stakeholder engagement, it's really key. And when I was first exposed to this particular Chinese character, which means "ting, listen," yeah. So this is a traditional Chinese character, and as with many traditional Chinese characters, if you dissect it, it's actually a compound word, I would say, where many different characters come together to create that word. So Ting, it's comprised of the year, which means to hear, and whether it's the mind to think, or Wang in this case could be the mind to think, or it could reflect the need for respect or dignity. And then we have shi and mu, which is to reflect the need to visually focus in totality. And E in this regard, I would think it means giving undivided attention. And last but not least, which in my opinion is the most important, it's to have the heart, which is sin in this case, which means to feel. And in this instance, this is one of my personal mantras when I handle change management. How do we engage the stakeholders through this? Yeah, and it's really to listen to them, to observe them, and to feel them. Yeah, and this is regardless of whether the change it is in, say, stakeholder engagement, whether the change it's about an M&A, whether the change it's about, say, helping people to move through to a different career stage, or it's a change, about a project, for instance. Yeah, so to me, this word, it's very, I hold this word dear to my heart. Yeah, and it has taught me how I should interact with my stakeholders at different levels, with respect and with regard. I think thirdly, rather, it's how we keep that communication very real and connected with our stakeholders. And in the recommendations that we propose, I think we just have to be, I've grown to learn that we have to be very practical and reasonable. We may think of achieving the stars, but in reality, what is truly possible? Last but not least, relationships. Yeah, I know it sounds a little bit frivolous, but I think in this whole space of the need to make sure we maintain our health, our well-being very well, I thought this point four here that I have listed out, it's a helpful connection. That relationships is really like our own beauty, our own well-being, and our health. It requires effort to maintain. It requires us to embrace it. And it might also at some point require us to let it go, or have some form of closure. Yeah. And to round this up, there is basically no one size fits all solution to how we engage our stakeholders. In other words, we can't actually just cite a model, cite a theory, and then we expect to follow a step by step guide. In doing so, it's really an integrated, it's really a well blended, whether you want to call it a formula or an approach, a way of thinking, a way of handling the people in the entire ecosystem, in how you eventually want to implement this change or to navigate together through this change journey. Yeah, so that is what I have to share. In view of time, I understand that we only have about 7 more minutes, but I would love to ask whom we have today, yeah, our friends in this community, this question and these questions rather. And this is really for us to exchange our tips here as a growing community. So please feel free to just pop into the comments section. Yeah, what is your personal mantra when it comes to change management? And what are some of your go-tos when you need change support? And last but not least, what is that one new word that you may want to add to your vocabulary in 2026?
Wow, very nice. Audrey, I really love your three questions here. Let's
Thank you,
see if
Rita.
we'll hear some of the answers from those who are watching our LinkedIn Live today.
Yes.
But okay, so while we are waiting for them to get us answers, maybe if you do have any question, just feel free to put the questions in the comment box, and Audrey will answer all of them. I do have two questions here. So
Yes.
Audrey, there is a comment here. Let me see. Okay.
Without
Um,
relationship, one cannot survive quality lives boom. Indeed.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, my personal worry, if I may, is that on this is really about a polarized and tensions living together. In that, with so much technology happening at such great pace, are we or do we neglect the need to build that human connection and that human relationships? Because
yeah,
on the one hand, when technology happens, it is so efficient, but on the other hand, to build relationships, it takes time, it takes effort. Yeah, so how do we manage that balance?
very true, very true.
Food for thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me take a look at the question here. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Audrey. You have shared with us a lot about the model and also some of the tips on engaging our stakeholders, right? But
Yes.
how has your personal experience with change, whether past or recent, influenced the way that you, sorry, influenced the way that you lead others through transformation?
Thanks for that question, Rita. I would say that in the past,
Mm-hmm.
I was more judgmental. Yeah, judgmental in the not so pleasant way, and judging more literally from whatever I can see, as opposed to how I feel and what I can observe, and empathizing with whether it's the client, whether it's the different stakeholders in the ecosystem, and why they behave in a certain way. So, to some extent, it has shaped my mantra, which is, if we don't go through a similar change ourselves, then how do we help others on a similar change journey? So in the past, I would often think that, hey, if I as a change, I regard myself as a change management consultant, as a change management partner. If I have never been through that type of change, then how am I able to help the person, help the system, help the team go through that similar journey of change? Yeah. So in the past, when I wore that more judgmental lens, it was a harsher way of asking, how could you do this? How could you do that? But over the years, as I matured and with my world expanded just a little bit more, um, I'm still work in progress, definitely. I would say that the lens that I put on now, it's really more about more from the empathy lens. Yeah, perhaps
Mm,
that client, perhaps that stakeholder has their own struggles that they may not be able to articulate. Yeah, and perhaps that particular stakeholder may not be able to see the lens that we are trying to share, or that particular world that we're trying to stretch them into. Yeah, so I've grown to learn that we all have different gifts that we bring to the table. I've grown to learn that we are all wired differently and we are all very unique. So as opposed to wearing a lens of judgment, why not wear a lens of empathy? Yeah, and think win-win, as opposed to a more binary sort of world where this is good, this is bad, but no, I think I've grown to learn that everyone is right in their own regard, because that has been the world that they have been exposed to. Yeah.
Very nice. From judgmental, right, to
Yes.
empathetic, so
Yes.
that we can think win-win. Very nice. So I have another, in the interest of time, another question. But anyway, let's, I have another question here.
Sure.
Let me see. In what ways can we shift our organizational mindset from managing change as a process to supporting people through it as a human experience?
Whoa. This is a very tough question, but it's such an important question. I think if I think just based on the wisdom of the community alone, we all have more answers than what we can find in all the reference books, and papers that we might have read. But I would say that the key is about having meaningful conversations. And in order to have meaningful conversations, um, it is very important to have that psychological safety. Yeah, and by that, I'm not trying to just regurgitate, what how this term has been utilized a lot more in recent years in the media. But that is truly a fact, as I have grown to observe as well over the years, that psychological safety, not both ways. So, for example, people who are, let's say, the people in top management, wanting to engage with the people in, say, the middle management. I think psychological safety has to work both ways. Yeah, and psychological safety in this instance, I would perhaps it could be in the form of judgment. And when I say judgment, I mean, having the top management not judge the middle management, and the converse must also work. Yeah. And in this judgment, it need not be something bad, I would say, or negative, but rather recognizing that the top management, they are also humans themselves. They themselves also have their own struggles and challenges. And how do we empathize and feel from their lens, as opposed to thinking, oh, that's the top management there, and henceforth I need to hold back more, henceforth I need to be more supportive or echo their sentiments a bit louder than I would my own peers. Yeah, so I don't think that I think whatever I'm thinking about or sharing right now, it could seem very idealistic. Yeah, and that's perfectly fine, because I think all of us are, we're entitled to our own ideals. But I think for organizations to function more effectively, um, in this age where there are multi-generational dynamics changes and demands that are differing, and where technology is so advanced, I think having psychologically safe conversations, it's a very important process that needs to be embedded into the change process in any organizations. Yeah.
Very nice. Psychologically safe conversations and being empathetic. Okay, so we are now towards the close of our session today. Any closing remarks for us, Audrey?
Yes, my closing remarks actually is through these what I think could be helpful references and tips that my personal mentors have shared with me previously. Yeah, so in case you missed that slide earlier, I would say that one, it's to expand my own vocabulary so that my world will also expand. Yeah, it would be great if you adopt a more optimistic or more positive set of vocabulary. And finding our own or forming our own community of support. And last but not least, it's about maybe making AI, sorry, not maybe, I think in this age, we need to learn how to make AI our friend as opposed to, you know, not a member of our own team. Yeah, I think AI has shifted perspectives for me, yeah, to a degree which um, I could not believe, actually. Yes. And now I wouldn't say I subscribe to it totally. Yeah. But I do not discriminate it. And in fact, I'm learning how to make AI my partner, how to make AI my friend. And I hope that the community would as well. Yes. And that's what I want to share. I wanted to pop a message in the chat. I think, yeah, I think I can. I'm not sure if I can or not. Yeah, but
Mhm.
it's actually to share this particular it's actually to share this particular series called the Just in Case series that is by Quality and Equality. That's by the late Dr. Mien Chong Judge, who maybe some of you may know of her. Yeah, but I am having issues doing this, but it's okay. I think later I'll go on to the recording and I'll just pop it in the chat. Yeah,
Mm.
and it's there. It's called the Just in Case series, and I thought that it has helped many of us in the HR and OD space very well.
Okay, just in case series. Okay, I look forward to more details about this series so that we can all learn from it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Audrey, for the very nice closing remarks. You need to have a positive set of vocabularies joining the COP, right? The practice community as well as make AI as our friend. Very nice. Okay, thank you, Audrey, for your wonderful sharing today. And thank you
Thank you,
so much for
Rita.
all of you watching the LinkedIn live session today. And we will continue in the first Wednesday of January. And taking this opportunity, for those who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. For those who are taking holidays in December, and I just wish every one of you happy holidays. And I'll see you next year, in January. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah.